So I've created a new project in Onshape, and just look here. We're going to model this as a block, possibly with the hole in it. I'll then cut the middle out and then put the features into the face. The Onshape videos are going to be abbreviated, but I will show you how I gather this part in Onshape initially, and you can skip through once you sort of see the concept because your project can be something very different because whatever you need. So now that I'm in Onshape, I'm going to start my sketch on the right side and look to the right side. I'm going to start with a line going forward, line going up. I'll escape. I'm going to hit line again. I'm then going to make a pair. I'm going to hit escape. Stupid. Oh, I think the Screencastify is fighting with my hotkeys, so that's fun. I'm going to use a tangent arc here. And I'm going to tangent arc here. And then I'm going to make another line that connects those 2 points. And I'm going to zoom in. And I'm going to tangent this arc to this line. And I'm going to tangent this arc to this line. And while that looks kind of short, that is actually fairly close to what we have. So next step is to start measuring things. So I'm going to measure the overall length. Again, you can see other videos for reading caliper in the Lego series, but 2.0 9 3 094. So dimension 2.094. I'm going to pull the overall height. And that is 0.826. So dimension from here, 0.826. I'm now going to just pull this back the other way. I'm going to pull this back piece the other way. That looks good. Now I'm going to pull some rough dimensions. About there is 2 point or 0.429. 0.429. I pulled that dimension by just sort of estimating where that arc ends there. I don't have my curve measuring tool, so I'm going to have to guess on the radius. And the way I'm going to do that is by taking and putting my caliper on the edge and then measuring to the point at which it stopped curving. Roughly there. So 0.25 is probably a good guess. The exact dimensions for this don't have to be perfect because this doesn't weigh on stuff. All my real work matters is these holes here. So that's what I'm going to be working off of for the most part. I just want to get close to help me judge things. So if these dimensions aren't perfect, it's not the end of the world. And I can always print this and compare and then fix it if I need to. 0.25. Hit escape. Okay, that went crazy. So I'm going to delete this. I'm going to pull this to be closer to what I'm looking for. Okay, why is that doing weird things? Okay, there we go. I don't know why it went crazy, but it did. And the radius for this thing is roughly 0.45. Try it again. 0.45. That looks pretty darn close. And I'm holding this up. You can't see, but I'm going to zoom in and sort of hold up to the screen and take a look. And that looks pretty darn close. So I'm now going to hit check. I'm going to look at 3D like. I'm going to extrude this thing. We're going to do symmetric and measure the width of the whole shape. Point or 1.325. That looks good. I'm going to add. We're now going to take and cut out the bulk of the shape. So I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to start a sketch on the back surface. And I'm going to draw a rectangle. We're going to go to center point rectangle. And we're going to go like that. And we're going to measure the thickness of the metal. And notice I'm going to go way in. I don't want to measure here because the paint has a little bit of thickness. I'm going to go here. And it's 0.066. So dimension 0.066. I'm going to do the same thing at the bottom. 0.066. I'm going to get out of dimension mode. I'm going to drag this way out. I don't care how big. I'm going to now extrude. Shift equals or Shift E. And we'll remove line through all, going in the right direction. And we can probably just put a small radius on this edge and this edge. And probably somewhere in the order of 0.06 or 0.05. That looks pretty good. So now I have the basic shape of my bracket. Now next step is I'm going to put my hole through the side. So I'm going to start sketch here. I'm going to draw a circle. Look at my right side. So a hole, I'm going to use the inside of my calipers. It's 0.0275. I'm sorry, 0.275. Point. That looks better. Now measure from the bottom. I'm going to measure like that. And that's going to give me my height, which is 0.333. So dimension from here to here. From here to here. 0.333. And then I'm going to do a similar one from the back, although it's going to be hard to get a good measurement, as good of a measurement. And I'm going to take an eyeball where I get to that straight. It's not exact because I'm not fastening to this part, so it doesn't matter as much. Make sure I'm in dimension mode. 3, 5, 7. And it looks relatively close. Shift E for extrude, remove, blind through all. Okay. We now have our piece. The last part is we have to do the holes at the bottom. So I'm going to start a sketch. Click on the bottom. I'm going to make sure that I'm looking the right way. So I make sure that I'm holding it this way, not this way. So I have the very surprised looking face. I'm going to start with a center point rectangle. And I'm going to do 2 circles. I know that these 2 holes should be in line with each other. And they should be equal to each other. I'm going to start pulling measurements. I'm going to use the inside of my calipers to pull the dimension of this rectangle. And that is 0.948. And I'm going to measure the inside the other way, 0.42. And I'm going to measure how far it is off the bottom this way, which is 0.685. I'm going to bring these guys down. The dimension of the hole is 0.161. 0.161. The dimension from the side is 0.218. 0.218. I'm going to pull the same dimension here. 0.218. And then I'm going to measure from the top. Actually, I'm going to measure from the, because it's more important that these line up with each other than anything else, because my piece is going to have to line up with those 3. If it doesn't go to the edge, it's fine. So 0.43 even. All right, I'm now going to Shift E for extrude. I'm going to select that, and that. Remove. Oh, sorry, guessed it. Through all. Okay, and then I'm going to check the radius by looking at the black piece, and I'm going to say the radius is probably about 0.1. So I'm going to fill it. And that looks pretty much like our piece. So that is the first piece made. I'm going to do a similar work to make the rubber piece. I'm not going to film that because I think you see the point of how I'm making this. But I'll come back once I have those once I have both the pieces together, and we'll put them into assembly together.